Hello everyone, it's Gigabeef here, and today we're looking at dog tags. Are you the type of player that sells them straight to therapist, or do you scour the barters looking for bargains? What to do with the tags that you find on enemy PMCs can be confusing because there's so many different trades with different level requirements, and dog tags with higher levels are worth more, so it's just not that straightforward. First and foremost, our main backstop is selling tags to therapist, which works out at 378 rubles per level. As this is a straight multiplier, the value of tags can be dramatically different. For example, 387 itself for a new level 1 player to 26,460 rubles if you did somehow manage to kill a level 70. There are currently 13 barter trades in total, but some of these don't really make any sense at all, like the ANA M2 rig, the Altin face shield, the Ratnik helmet, the Ledex, and the Hensoldt scope, which can be gotten another way for at least the same price but often more cheaply. The TGP suppressor also just kinda sucks, so we'd probably rather use the tags for something else even though it can be at a small discount. So this brings us to number 7, the 6SH118 Raid backpack, sometimes called the Couch bag, which is the joint largest bag in the entire game. This can be bartered for 9 USEC dog tags at level 25 or higher, which is a minimum cost of 85k. It's important to remember that USEC dog tags are worth less, so to speak, than the bear versions, not in a monetary sense, but purely on scarcity, because more of the player base plays as USEC. I personally have a 1.6 to 1 ratio of USEC to bears killed, for example, which I think is quite typical. The best alternative for this bag is the 2 military cable barter at Prapor 4, which fluctuates of course but costs around 110k if getting decent prices on the flea for the inputs. This means we get a discount of about 25% using level 25 tags, and we can use tags up to level 32 before it stops making sense. If you're into big Chad bags, this is not a terrible way to use your dog tags. In position 6 we have the MPX. This one is a mixed bag. The requirements are really low at only 7 tags of either faction, and from level 8 and above is the lowest level of all of the barters that we have available, costing an incredible 21k. With the alternative from the flea being 40k usually at best, this gives us a discount of nearly 50%. But the reason why I rate this one so low is that the MPX and all the 9mm weapons, to be honest, aren't really used currently, but on its own merits the barter is really good. This means that the break-even point for the dog tag level is 15, but to note, level 8 or 9 tags can't be used for any other barter, so if you have some of these hanging around, it might be worth considering using them for this gun. Next up at number 5 we have the Lucky Scav Junk Box from Therapist 2. This doesn't feature higher on the list simply because we need so many tags. 100 of either faction is an awful lot, but if you had 100 level 10 tags, this would only cost you 378k. Doing the craft is the next best way of getting one and comes to about 850 to 950,000, which means theoretically the perfect dog tag barter is a 55 to 60% reduction in price. Having all level 10 dog tags though is nigh on impossible unless you have literally tens of thousands of PMC kills, so it won't be as efficient in practice. The break even for this barter is level 22 when comparing to the cheaper end of the range for the craft, so any tags in the low teens are still going to be good for this. By the time you have enough tags though, you probably already have all the junk boxes that you're going to need. Barter number 4 is the Team Wendy Exfil helmet from Peacekeeper 3. This is one of the extremely high tier helmets that lets you wear ear armor, a headset and a face shield all at the same time for full head protection, albeit at class 4 for the main helmet and 3 for the other parts. Importantly, this only applies to the black version as the tan variant cannot mount a face shield, and it's the black one that you get from the barter, so it's actually useful. This costs 10 bear dog tags from level 30 and above from Peacekeeper 3, coming to a minimum price of 113k versus a cash price of $1,492 from Peacekeeper. This seems like a great deal compared to the Peacekeeper exchange rate, which is right now at 112 and comes to 167k, but selling info items bought from the fleet such as diaries can bring this down a bit effectively to around 142k rubles instead. But this barter still represents a 20% discount, meaning that you can use tags anywhere up to level 38 to still be in the money. But one extra factor to consider is that to buy it in cash you need to finish the quest samples. Without doing that one, this barter is really the only reliable way to access the helmet. Moving into the top 3, let's look at the item case from Therapist 3 next. This suffers from the same issue as the junk box in that it requires a lot of tags, but because item cases are more of a late game purchase versus the early game scav junk boxes, it's more compelling to do once you have a decent number of PMC kills under your belt. For this you'll need 150 dog tags of either faction at level 17 and above, which comes to an absolute minimum price of 963,900 rubles. This compares to the ophthalmoscope and meds barter, which costs around 1.6 million, so the dog tag barter could save you around 650k in theory. The break-even level for this one is a little bit higher at 29, so you can still use some slightly higher level tags and it still be a good choice. It's just the sheer number of tags that makes it a bit tricky on accessibility. Now the top 2 spots on the list I had difficulty choosing between, but in second place for me are the GP NVGs, which are the best night vision goggles in the whole game. At Peacekeeper level 3 and requiring 9 bear dog tags at 25 or higher, this places the minimum cost at 85,000 rubles, which compares to buying them in cash from Peacekeeper 4 for $1,806. Using the info item method from before, this can translate to about 172k as a minimum, which means our Dogtag barter is still a 50% discount, which is huge. Also, there are plenty of players at the 25 and higher level bracket, especially later into the wipe, which is when you're most likely to be doing this barter anyway, and 9 tags is really not that many compared to some of the others. Because the discount is so steep, you can in theory use any tags up to level 50 to complete it, which makes the barter really flexible and actually possible at a good discount more often than some of the others. But in number 1 for me overall is the RSAS barter. This is simply because most players will use this at least once per wipe to complete Gunsmith Part 6, and it's extremely difficult to get the RSAS otherwise because the regular trader version is only accessible from Peacekeeper 4 after completing Wet Job Part 5. For this you need 8 bear and 8 USEC dog tags at level 15 or higher, which comes to a minimum cost of 90,720 rubles at Peacekeeper 3. Compared to the RSAS cash purchase of at least the dollar equivalent of 145k, a 35 to 40% discount is possible, and again the number of tags required here isn't that many. While most players will use this to complete the quest rather than to buy the RSAS for use in their raids, towards the late game it's an excellent weapon with good ammo and a great way to access it fairly cheaply. I've been using it extensively in the latter half of this wipe. You can use tags up to about level 24 to break even, which is great because then it doesn't overlap with the level requirement on the night vision barter. Tags from level 15 can be used for the RSAS and then from level 25 up for the NVGs, which means that you don't have to choose which to go for between these two. Now, just before you go off rushing to barter for some cool gear, do bear in mind that there are a few quests that require dog tags too, most specifically Friend from the West Part 1, which needs 7 USEC tags, and Punisher Part 6 that requires 7 bear and 7 USEC tags. As there is no level requirement for these, ideally you'll be handing in the lowest levels that you have available, and if they are under level 8 then you couldn't have bartered for them anyway. The other relevant quest is Our Own Land or Counteraction. Which of these you have depends on which faction you joined at the start of the game. This requires 20 dog tags of the opposite faction, but again is level agnostic, so keep a few low level tags around for these quests. Now, if you're wondering what to do with the RSAS now that you can get it so cheaply, check out this video to see how to make the most of the weapon. Otherwise, as usual, a big shout out to all my patrons, hit all the buttons if you enjoyed the video, and as always, have fun in your raids.